Please press bell icon to subscribe to my channel Seema Gautam for more videos. Hello everyone, today we will study another chapter of history, that is the Indian national movement. In part 1 we will learn about early nationalists, or can say first phase of Indian national movement. Early nationalist national movement in Indian history can be divided into three phases. The early nationalist phase from 1885 to 1905, the assertive phase from 1905 to 1980, and the third, the Gandhian era, 1919 to 1947. The Indian Nationalist Congress from its inceptions in 1885 to 1905 was dominated by the early nationalists. These early nationalists were eminent personalities. They were lawyers, barristers, teachers, and officials. Because many of them were educated in England, they believed in British sense of justice and fair play. They were, however, ignorant of the actual conditions of people in India. The early nationalists were included from all parts of country. Some early nationalists were W.C. Banerjee, Ras Bihari Ghosh, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Naroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Justice Ranade, Madan Mohan Malviya, and A.O. Hume. If we discuss about them, they were open-minded, loyal to crown, and they wanted the Indians should have proper share in the government. They believed that if British continued to stay in India, it would be beneficial for both England and India. They demanded for reforms, however, their demands were moderate. If we'll just go to their personal, they were practicals, did not keep high demands, and wanted least resistance. They aimed at the self-governance and independence, but through a gradual process. They sowed seeds of democracy in the minds of Indians and avoided serious opposition. Beliefs of early nationalists. The early nationalists had faith in the British sense of justice and fair play. They believed that the British would grant home rule to Indians. They believed that the British rule had positively influenced Indian society by banning sati, female infanticides, and by raising the minimum marriageable age of girls and boys. They believed in agitating through constitutional and peaceful methods like writing petitions. And they believe that the main obstacles in India's progress is not the British rule, and it was due to the social and economic backwardness of Indians. Now we will discuss about the demands. Demands of the early nationalists were the constitutional reforms. Next is economic reforms, administrative demands, and defense of civil rights. We are going to discuss about each in detail now. First, constitutional reforms. The moderates wanted a large share in the government of their country. They believed that eventually Indians should go more towards democratic self-government. Moderates demanded two expansions of the Legislative Council and Legislative Assemblies, both at the center as well as in the provinces. Abolition of Indian Council. The moderates demanded control over the public purse and raised the slogan "No taxation without representation." Adequate representatives of Indians in the Executive Council of the Viceroy and the governors. This was also their demand. Now we'll move further and discuss about the economic reforms. The moderates also wanted a reduction in land revenue and protections of peasants against unjust demands of the jamidars. They demanded for the development of banking industrial growth by the protection of trade. To reduce expenditure on the army and to spend the saved money on welfare of the people, this was their main concern. To develop and provide banking, irrigational, health, and medical facilities to the people. To decrease land revenues and protect peasants against the unjust demands and atrocities of the jamidars. To inquire into the reasons behind recurrent famines and growing poverty of people. To protect an interest of Indian industry by imposing heavy trade duties on imported goods, and to abolish the salt tax and duties on sugar. Now we are going to discuss the administrative demands. The moderates demanded for the Indianization services through simultaneous Indian civil services examination in England as well as in India. They wanted to repeal the Arms Act and License Act, and also wanted to spread primary education among the maximum population of India. To spread primary education amongst the Indian masses. They demanded for the complete separation of the executive and the judiciary, wider employment of Indians in higher ranks, and also wanted to gradually move towards democratic self-government of India. Now we'll discuss about the defense of civil rights. To do away with the restrictions imposed by the British government on the freedom of speech and press in India, to abolish the Preventive Detention Act and restore civil liberties in India, and to allow Indians to assemble and to form the association. Now we will discuss about the methods of struggle. So early nationalists or the moderates followed constitutional agitational methods to put forward their demands. The methods adopted by the moderates had two objectives: first set of methods and second set of methods. So their first objective was to spread education among the masses in India. They followed the following methods to achieve these aims. They held meetings and gave speeches for pressing their demands. They criticized the policies of government through the press. Memorandums and petitions were sent by them to government officials and the British Parliament. Second set of objectives of early nationalists was to influence the British government and its policies. This was done in the following ways. They followed the 3 P's: petitions, prayers, and protests. This was done by sending petitions and request letters to protest against the unjust policies of the government. A British Committee of Indian National Congress was established at London in 1889, which published a weekly journal, India, to present India's case before the British public. Indian leaders to Britain were sent on deputation to Britain for achieving their aims. For example, Dadabhai Naoroji spent a major part of his life to create awareness amongst the British people and parliamentaries about the plight of the Indians. With this, now we'll go ahead and learn the achievements of the early nationalists. They created national awakening among the people regarding the fact that they all belong to one common country. They popularized and trained the people in the ideals of democracy, civil liberties, secularism, and nationalism. One of the greatest achievements of the early nationalists was that they exposed the true nature of economic exploitation of India by the British government. Their political and economic programs established the truth that Indians should be ruled in the interest of the Indians. Because of the efforts of the early nationalists, the following reforms were passed. Public Service Commission was appointed in 1886. The resolution was passed in the House of Commons for holding the Indian Civil Service examination in India and London. The passing of the Indian Council Act of 1892. Next, we'll move ahead and learn about some prominent early nationalist leader. So we'll start with Dadabhai Naoroji. Dadabhai Naoroji, greatly known as Grand Old Man of India, was looked upon as India's unofficial ambassador during his stay in England. He was elected to Bombay Municipal Corporation and later to the Town Council. He was the founder of Bombay Association. The newspaper Rasgaftar was edited by him. In 1865, he founded the London India Society in collaboration with W.C. Banerjee. Theory of the grain was presented by him in his book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. After spending years collecting statistics, Dadabhai propounded that inevitable consequences of foreign dominations is the drain of wealth of the subject nation to the country of the rulers. Dadabhai proved that the average annual income of an Indian was barely rupees 20. Nehruji was thrice elected as a president of the Congress. The credit of demanding Swaraj from the Congress platform for the first time, that is in 1906, goes to him. In England during the year 1892, he presented the cause of the Indians in the House. In 1866, he established the East India Association in London. The East India Association soon became popular and its branches were set up in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. Now we are going to learn about Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gopal Krishna Gokhale was influenced by the India's ideas of Justice Ranade. He joined the Deccan Education Society, which was founded by the Justice Ranade. Gokhale presided over the Varanasi sessions of the INC in 1905. In year 1905, he founded the Servants of India Society and went to the England and Africa. Srinivas Sastri and Hridayenath Kujru were some of the important members of that society. Next, we'll move ahead and learn about another prominent leader, that is Surendranath Banerjee. Surendranath Banerjee was nationalist leader, popular journalist and also dedicated educationist who advocated the use of constitutional methods for the attainment of India's goals. He was the first Indian to qualify for the Indian Civil Services examination and was elected from the Bengal Council 4 times. The Arms Act, the Vernacular Press Act, the lowering of age for appearing in the ICS examinations from 21 to 19 years were all opposed by him. He also opposed the Morley Minto reforms and the partition of Bengal. I'll conclude my chapter here. See you soon with part 2.